Welcome to Mental Health and the Sacred Sanctuary. Mental Health and the Sacred Sanctuary is a sacred space where healing and wellness are centered, where God dwells. And where does God dwell? Right in the center of who we are. I'm Michelle Johnson, parent coach, and I'm a member of the Office of Christian Care and Counseling. Today, we're delving into a powerful conversation that matters deeply. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. It is time to unite and support of survivors and focus on the healing from violence, holding space for their stories, and centering those whose voices often go unheard, particularly those marginalized by systemic oppression. We are visiting the Bethany House of Northern Virginia, a safe haven for women and children escaping from trauma and domestic violence. It provides not only a safe place to live, but all the critical resources needed for recovery and rebuilding. Their mission is to eliminate domestic violence one family at a time by offering a safe harbor, shelter, crisis intervention, and counseling to help survivors regain their health, dignity, and independence. It's about helping women and their families recover emotionally and spiritually, promoting long-term self-sufficiency and supporting them as they reestablish themselves in the community. From immediate risk assessment and safety planning to ongoing life advancement programs. Bethany House offers a lifeline to those in need. They provide individualized care, offering trauma-informed counseling and therapy, not just while clients are in their safe houses, but continuing well after they have left to ensure they don't relapse into abusive environments. Bethany's House mission is clear: to offer refuge, promote healing, and empower survivors to lead safe and sufficient lives. Hi, Tiffany.
Welcome.
Thank you. Today I'm here with Tiffany Santana, the Executive Director of Bethany House, and we're going to chat about all the ways they support the domestic violence survivors and help them reestablish themselves in the community and empower them so that they never end up back in abusive environments. Tiffany Santana is the Executive Director of Bethany House of Northern Virginia. Before assuming this role, she was a dedicated volunteer for more than 7 years. Tiffany is a certified transformational communication coach and speaker, passionate about teaching, learning, and helping others. She values her relationship with Jesus and uses it as her North Star for everything she does. Tiffany, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
I am a native of Northern Virginia. They call us unicorns now because not too many people are from here, but I was born in D.C., raised in Northern Virginia. I love it here. And I was a teacher for 10 years, and I'm just really passionate about helping people. That's just really what I know I was called to do. And so this is just one more layer being here at Bethany House of helping other people.
So excited to be in the administrative offices with you, Tiffany. We know we can't go to the safe house, but I'd love to get the lay of the offices to see where your work happens and how you use this space to make sure that you're providing what the survivors need.
Absolutely. This is reception. This is where we receive our guests, our donors, our volunteers. We like this space to be very cozy and welcoming. And we use this space as well to get cozy in the middle of the day, just to take a little break. And so we love our welcome space. We have our scripture here because we always want people to visit to know that they have hope in Jesus and that they have a future in Jesus as well. So we love that. Our organization was founded in faith. Our founder, Doris Ward, she was a mighty woman of God. She was one of those people that just really wanted to be the hands and feet of Jesus, and that has carried out over 45 years. And so we really do everything based on scripture. Everything is rooted in being like Jesus. That's our motto, is that we really want to serve people like Jesus. Everyone is accepted here. Jesus was available to everybody, so we make ourselves available to everybody. And really, that's just at the heart of what we do. So we organize how we serve based on biblical models. We organize how we treat each other in our workspace based on a biblical model. We just really make sure that we're prayerful, that we're led by God in everything that we do. It's just so important in the arena that we're in.
So as we walk through, I really want to show folks something that I think is very special about this office. and that is there's a prayer room.
Yes.
So can you tell me a little bit about the prayer room?
Yes, this is my favorite space in the office, and this was actually put together for us by one of our church partners. This is our prayer room, and this is a space where anybody who visits our office can come in, and we have a prayer wall. We put our prayers on one side. We put answered prayers on another. It's a quiet, welcoming space. There are devotionals in there. There's a Bible in there, comfy chairs. And during the day, we just come in, we spend some quiet time with the Lord, we collect ourselves. I come in every morning, I pray over the organization, over volunteers, over our supporters, over our clients. It's just a really warm, nice space to just spend time with the Lord.
That's awesome, especially since we know that part of the theme this year is how do we get centered and how do we hold space?
Yes.
This is a great way of how you hold space. So
Absolutely.
as we think about ways that we can hold space, prayer is one of those ways we
Absolutely.
can hold space. Good.
Absolutely.
So how has Bethany House evolved over the years to address the needs of domestic violence survivors?
In quite a few ways. Bethany House started pretty unconventionally already. It is a nonprofit that shelters women and children escaping domestic violence. The founder, Doris Ward, she started it not just to be a shelter, but really to take care of the whole person. And so she always understood that we would have to do more than just shelter people in order to get them well and on their way to independence. So it's always been a multi-layered program. As of late, some of the things that we've grown into are looking into technology and looking at how technology can help us, but also looking at how technology is used by abusers to track women, to track children, to abuse through cyberbullying and things like that. So we've had to evolve in our knowledge of technology, how we use it for our good, and how it can be used to damage people too. So that's one way in particular that we've evolved in how we serve.
Wow, I don't think people think like that, right?
It's something that you don't really think about, and we always have to, when we think we've got it, we always have to shift and change because technology changes so much and the way people think about it and use it changes so much. So we don't very often think about that aspect of it, but it's something that you really have to consider all the time.
And who determines what healing looks like for survivors? Like, how do you measure when it's happening?
I love that question so much. First of all, the survivor herself. She's first and foremost the person that decides what healing will look like. But she does that in conjunction with a lot of people here at Bethany House. So the very first thing when a woman comes here, she's assigned a case manager. And that case manager helps her to develop what's called an individualized service plan. So that plan helps her to map out her goals for what she wants life to look like. In those goals, there are goals for healing, for counseling. In those goals, there are housing goals, education goals, professional goals. And we map her progress. She maps her progress and charts her progress as she moves through our program. And so she first decides if she's progressing and healing in a way that makes sense for her. But also, through the care that we give, we make sure that we're monitoring based on what we know educationally, what we know professionally, as far as what healing should look like if you're getting the right care and service. So it's a joint effort. It's a partnership between us and the people that we serve.
That's awesome. I know it's a blessing for them to realize that they're seen.
Yes.
And heard.
Absolutely.
And understood.
Absolutely.
So how do you see healing work being connected to the prevention work?
That is wonderful. So we can look at it from two aspects. We have to look at it first from the abuser's standpoint. We know that a lot of abusers have been abused themselves. And so one of our goals is to start the work of working with abusers, because if we can get to people who abuse and start the healing work with them, then we know that we can start to eliminate domestic violence. Our vision here is to eliminate domestic violence one family at a time. And what we've come to understand is we can't do that without accounting for every person in the family, including the abuser. So we know if we can deal with some of the issues that abusers have and get them healed, they're less likely to continue abuse. The same is true for survivors of abuse or those who are victimized. If we can start to get them healed, start to get them to have self-worth, start to get them to understand what abuse looks like and to even identify it, we can start to help them to take steps to get into more healthy relationships, to make sure that they're doing the things that they need to take care of themselves, and to make better choices and decisions overall. So healing is a huge part of prevention. If people are healthy and whole and healed, then they're less likely to be abusive or to be abused.
So you said something that really struck something in me just now. I was talking to one of my parents, and she was sharing a concern about her teenage daughter and about a young man who was interested in her, but told her he wasn't interested in a relationship, but that she couldn't have a relationship with anybody else. So he occupied as much of her time as he could on the phone. And I said to this parent, I need you to educate her on the fact that that is not a healthy friendship or relationship. And it could lead to some toxic behavior on his part. So I'm glad you said that, right? That education part is so important for prevention. And we actually have to start educating people very early.
Absolutely, absolutely, because that's already toxic. That behavior, we know that abuse, especially domestic violence, intimate partner violence, is about control. Mm-hmm. It's about control, it's about domination, and already that's a pattern. Mm-hmm. It's if you are telling someone what they can and can't do, and it's a continuous pattern, and then you're taking up space in their life in that way, you're already starting those patterns of abuse. That's already toxic. And so it's so important because we don't identify abuse, especially when we're young. Right. I was in a relationship that was abusive, and because it wasn't physically violent, and because I didn't have a point of reference for it, I wasn't around toxicity. Right. I had a very healthy upbringing. I didn't know I was in an abusive relationship until I was almost out of it because I didn't know what to look for. And I didn't know those things were actually abuse. And so it's so important, just like you said, to start early with educating people and showing the signs and helping them to identify things and helping them to know that when something feels off, especially with women, we do have intuition. When it's off, it's probably off, and to talk to someone about it that's trusted.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So what are the main challenges that survivors face when they first arrive at Bethany House?
There are quite a few. Most of them have to do with decompression, getting to a space where you understand that you're in a safe place. We always want women to feel like they're safe. It's a catch-22 because we don't want anybody to take their guard completely down because there's still some risk. But to be in a place where you feel safe and comfortable enough to begin the work of healing and rebuilding. And so one of the challenges is knowing that you're okay, that you don't have to keep looking around the corner and behind your back. That's one of the challenges. Another is unlearning. Because for so long, a lot of our clients have learned bad behaviors. They've learned poor self-worth. They've learned things that aren't true about themselves. They've learned poor patterns of relationships. And so some of the challenges are even unlearning and relearning good patterns, the truth about yourself, relearning self-worth, relearning good parenting, because sometimes children have been in situations that are toxic, so then you have to relearn how to parent. Being in environments where you feel safe around other people, those are things that are challenging as well because women come into a house where there are other women and other families. So relearning those dynamics of living with other people. So there's a few challenges. We navigate them, I think, pretty well with our staff, with our interns and volunteers. I think we do a pretty good job of getting women to a relative normalcy pretty quickly. I think our even physical environment of our safe house is conducive to that. We have trauma-informed interior design in our house. So everything that we think about in our house is very intentional to help women to start getting to normalcy quicker. So we really do try to manage getting people beyond those challenges, especially those initial challenges, pretty quickly so that they can get to the work of getting better.
Okay. I have heard a lot about trauma-informed practices, strategies. I have never heard of trauma-informed design.
We had not either.
So I'm going to need you to break that down just a little bit more, because I am sure someone's wondering, well, what does that mean? The lamps look a certain way.
Yes,
What does that mean?
Well, we're not the experts. We worked with another organization that partnered with us when we redesigned this house. They do this in a small scale, usually for abuse victims, child victims of sexual violence and things like that, where they go into their bedrooms and redesign their spaces if they've been through trauma, so that the textures and the colors take into account the trauma that they've been through. They make sure that the pictures and the art on the wall are not traumatic, that they don't induce trauma. So soft colors and shapes and things like that, everything is taken to account. So our project was their largest project at that time, doing a whole house. So inside the house, the colors are beautiful, they're soft, the shapes are soft, the furniture and the positioning of the furniture, everything, I never knew anything about it. So I was ecstatic when they came and they wanted to do the project. And it really does make a difference. I mean, people come in and they feel it. They feel the atmosphere.
Comfortable. Right, because you talked about safety and security, right? So your nervous system has to know that when I enter this space, it feels safe, right?
Absolutely. Because we do have to have the things that you need that can trigger, like cameras and things like that. But in that space, the cameras disappear. The things that you have to put into an environment to keep a person safe that might be triggering, those things disappear because the trauma-informed design makes those security things disappear. So it's really exciting to know that there are people out there that do that kind of work.
That is incredible.
Yes.
How do you help survivors process all the trauma and the work towards long-term recovery, right? So yes, they come in, they get safe, but what does the work towards long-term recovery look like?
We have trauma-informed service here, and we have evidence-based mental health practice here. So women here get counseling, individually and group counseling, once a week, every single week. We attend to quite a bit of issues that deal with domestic violence and trauma. One thing I love about this particular program is we're not a 30-day emergency shelter. That's great. We need those programs because they can do what we can't. They can get women out of harm's way quickly and make sure that they, at any time of the day or night. What it doesn't allow for is that time to heal, to get counseling, to learn new strategies, to learn boundaries. So we keep women in our safe house for 4 to 6 months, which gives them a little bit more time. But once they transition out of our safe house, they can opt into our 2-year aftercare program. So they can continue the work of counseling for 2 years after. The reason why we do this, and this is a Doris Ward thing, she started this all that time ago because she knew that women needed a more long-term structure so that they could really be ensured that they would be okay once they got out of the safe house. So we really continue to make sure that they're learning the practices, that they're progressing, that as new challenges come up, and they will, that they'll have a person there that can support them and guide them through it and continue to introduce new skills and new tools that they can use to progress as they move into different phases. And so it's one of the unique features of what we do. It's something that I'm really proud of and excited about. It's not something that we added and created. It's something that that visionary founder thought of 4 decades ago, and that we still continue to this day, and that's still pretty revolutionary in our field and what we do. So it's really exciting.
Absolutely, and I'm sure it keeps women from going back into those type of relationships.
Yes.
Because they have a firm foundation, they have a support system, they have based on their plan when they first came in, they just have an idea of how to do life differently.
Absolutely.
And you said something about you didn't say rewiring. I'm going to say rewiring. So their brain gets rewired. Everything around them changes. Maybe even their attitudes about who they are as people and human beings shifts. So that's incredible.
Absolutely.
So we hear this term all the time, holding space. So in what ways can we all hold space for trauma survivors in our workplace, in our communities, and within our families? Because they exist all around us. And they may not actually identify, you may not know what's going on in their lives, or you may. What does it look like for us to support in that way, in a way to hold space?
I think that one of the things that we have to do is we have to educate ourselves on the signs of abuse. They're not always readily accessible. They're not always worn on our outsides and on our sleeves. Sometimes they're very subtle. So we have to make sure that we keep our eyes and ears open for certain things that display signs of abuse. But when we know that someone is being abused, when they come to us and they share that something is going on, the very first thing that we can do is to just be open and listen without judgment. No one decides that they want to be in an abusive relationship. No one chooses that initially. So being open and hearing people without judgment and saying, I'm here. How can I serve you? Without giving your advice initially, without telling people what to do, but just first saying, how can I help? What would you like me to do? How would you like me to be here for you? I think those things are important. And then being mindful about what resources are available, because some people just don't know how to get help. I think those things are important. And I think it's super important because with domestic violence and the unfortunate likelihood of homicide with domestic violence, is really important before you give advice to really know what consequences are when women take action to leave or to get help. And so always before you get advice, look for professionals to help you. Go to the domestic violence hotline. Call organizations like Bethany House. Call the Virginia State Hotline. There are people there that can help you walk with your friends, your coworkers, your loved ones, that can give you support, that can help develop safety plans, that can connect you with resources. We just have to be empathetic. We have to be non-judgmental. And we really do have to be a safe place for people when they come to us for help or when they confide in us about what they're going through.
That's pretty good. I was going to say empathy goes a long way for holding space, learning how to listen without giving advice, and judging people. And I think what you said was really valuable because a lot of our first instinct was like, girl, I got to get you out of there.
Yes.
But knowing how to do that in a way that's safe for them with the right resources, because most of us will just jump to, pack your stuff, I'm coming over. And that may not be the best solution at that time.
Absolutely.
They need a plan.
Because it can be dangerous for everybody.
Yeah.
And so that has to be very calculated and it has to be done with care. And so it's really important. Our instinct is to come rescue, swoop in.
We're going to fix this.
But it is very important to make sure that you do that with intentionality and with education.
Something else you said, because a lot of us, I think, assume that, oh, you're going to see somebody that got on too much makeup or they're wearing sunglasses, that it's not always a physical evidence that that abuse is taking place and that there may be other signs.
Absolutely.
Or that person may just come talk to you.
Absolutely.
So that's really important.
Because abusers are smart. A lot of times, even physical abuse, they won't hit in the face. So there won't be discernible marks on your face. And so it's really important to look for some of the more outward emotional aspects, being withdrawn or being nervous about being out for too long, or always have to check in on your phone, or always have to send a text before you move this way or that way. Those types of things. Or always talking bad about yourself because my significant other always says that I'm this or always says that I'm that. Those types of things are things that are signs.
Those are good signs because I don't think people always know that that's a sign.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's good because of the judgment piece, right?
Yes.
So we hear somebody doing or feeling or saying those things, you're like, you can't go nowhere, girl, without him calling you all the time.
Right.
But that's a sign.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Absolutely.
That's good. So what is Bethany's House approach to centering survivors, particularly those who are marginalized by the systems of oppression, racism, society, all the things?
I love that. We, first of all, because I said Jesus is everything for us, we really do. Jesus healed everybody who came to him. He didn't have any qualifiers. He didn't ask any questions before he did that. And that's really how we operate. So first of all, we receive anyone who we have room for that we feel like we can help. we help them. So it doesn't matter if they're Christian, Muslim, Hindu, atheist, whatever, any race, any background, you're coming here if we can help you. So that's first. If we can't help you, we're referring you to the best people who can. That's first. Second, although a lot of what we do is communal and in groups, a lot of what we do is individualized, and that's important to us. Making sure, like I said, with that individualized plan, making sure that we understand what is your culture, what are your cultural backgrounds and experiences, what is your trauma outside even of your relationship, so that we can make sure that we treat you as you need to be treated based on what your experience is, and so that we can provide the best possible care for your experience. Women come to us with so many different issues, whether they are issues of oppression or discrimination, or whether they are issues of cultural marginalization or cultural oppression or religious oppression. We see so many different kinds of things. And so we want to make sure that we're sensitive to everybody's needs. And I think just by individualizing our care in that way, it's empowering for women and giving them a voice. How do you want to be served? How do you want to structure your life from this point forward? You have access to do that, and you have a say in what that looks like. Sometimes just giving people the power to have a say in where their life goes from here is everything, especially when they haven't had it, whether it's in their relationship or in society at large. And so that's one of the things that we make sure that we try to do is support people at their space where they are, individualized based on their personal experiences.
Yeah, you said that a couple of times, so I love those questions, right? What do you want?
Right.
Where do you want to go? What are your goals? What are your needs?
Right.
Meeting you where you are in your situation and honoring that and listening to what you're saying. Not trying to shape it for them, but allowing them to shape it for themselves with assistance, with support.
Absolutely. Really as a leader, one of my things is that I can't stand when an organization has a mission statement and it's just something on the wall and they walk away from it. Our key word, our action word in our mission is empower. And so we come back to the drawing board all the time as a team and we look at what we do. And if it doesn't empower, we ditch it because empower is in our mission. And so part of empowerment is giving people a voice and giving people the right to make decisions about their life. Even the decision to make bad decisions. We believe in that. And so it's important to us.
That's good. Empower is a good word.
Yes.
What are some obstacles that you've encountered in this work and what solutions have you found?
Oh boy, that's such a heavy question.
Yeah, because you're the leader. So yes. I'm sure there are some obstacles.
Yes. My number one, hands down, and people don't like to talk about it, my number one obstacle is finances. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, 100% hands down. That's my number one obstacle to doing this work is being able to pay for it. We are a housing first organization in a very affluent area, and it costs a lot to house women for the amount of time that we have and to provide the level of service that we do. That's always the biggest challenge. The solutions we found are myriad. We actually have worked with consultants that give us the cutting edge strategies, what works well. I believe in getting coaching. I'm a coach, so I believe in getting coaching in areas that I'm not strong because that's what it takes to do the work that you're passionate about. So we work with consultants and coaching to make sure that we understand how the nonprofit world works right now and how to best serve our supporters, because our supporters are our family too, and we have to serve them too. I have to steward our supporters as well as the shepherd over the organization. So we're learning that. We also, as far as that is concerned, do a variety of things. We do partnerships with churches, with schools, with organizations, and we give to the organizations that give to us also. So we don't just go and we ask for money to help us, but we also like to give back. We like to go educate. We like to, and not just on domestic violence. We have a lot of talent here in our little teeny organization. So we go to organizations and we teach about communication and we teach about trauma-informed workspaces and schools, and we teach anti-bullying classes for kids. So we like to make sure that when we're partnering, we're really partnering. So that's one challenge that we face. Another challenge that we face probably is the dynamic of making sure that we're as public as we possibly can be to get the support that we need while still maintaining confidentiality to keep our women and children safe. That is always a huge challenge that we're always navigating because I told you times change really quickly with technology and everything. And so that's always been a really tough thing to navigate is how do we tell everybody, shout out to the mountains about what we do while still making sure that we're safe as staff too, but making sure first and foremost that our clients are safe. And we navigate that differently. I can't tell you that there's always a solution to that. That changes almost every year, how we do that. But we try to do the best that we can with that. We make sure that we do a lot of one-on-one. We go out into smaller communities and we do talks in small groups to get the word out in hopes that those small groups will continue to spread the word so that we don't have to be on such large-scale platforms. But it changes all the time.
Right. I like that you said that the partnership is two-way. Mm-hmm. Like we don't just ask for money, but we offer what we have.
Absolutely.
We offer our gifts, we offer our talents, and we offer anything that we can share with the community that will make everybody better. Absolutely. As a whole, right? Absolutely. It goes back to your whole persona. When the people come to you, we give them everything they need for to be whole people, but also we want to help the community be whole.
Absolutely.
So that's 100%. Really cool. I know that the offices are down close by, and I'm just going to let you know that remember, they collect donations here. Yes. And the supporters here. So, yes, she's the executive director, but I want y'all to know that space may look a little different than your normal CEO, executive director space, because there's real work going on here.
Yes, it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We are busy doing the 2 of 3 major events. We just finished one last night, and so we have 2 more coming, so it's very busy. We are staging, we are collecting donations, so things are all over the place, but we love that because that means, just like you said, that real work is going on.
And while we're talking about that, it's very important that you know they need your support and donations. So there are a few things happening at the end of this month that I want to make sure we let you know about so that you can go on the website and participate as a donor, a supporter in any way. So I heard you say that there's a Christmas program.
And we have our Christmas concert coming up, our gospel Christmas concert that's coming up, where gospel musicians, gospel singers from churches all over the area come together and they ring in Christmas, Jesus' birthday, and celebrate together. And all of the proceeds from the events go to Bethany House.
Awesome. Look, we got to go ahead too, y'all. I want you to see the donations that they have in here so that, because they support families, and these women are supported for longer than 30 days. They are in the house as long as they need to for a while so that they can get their lives on track. So in here, you'll see all the things that they need, and it'll give you an idea of other ways that you can help donate. There's body shampoo and sheets and toilet paper and things for babies. And so as you think about ways that you can support Bethany House, these are the things they need so that they can provide a home for folks who are going through the program. And Tiffany can't do this work on her own. So we're just going to introduce one of her staff members. I'll let Tiffany introduce her. Again, you will see more supplies because this is the work that they do. And Tiffany?
This is Dionise Dillard. She's our Director of Operations for Bethany House in Northern Virginia.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for the chance to speak to all of you. This looks kind of like controlled chaos. We've got several big donations in this week, and it'll probably be like that through the end of the year.
So as we close this special episode of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we are reminded of the profound importance of recognizing and supporting survivors of domestic violence. This month serves as a vital opportunity to not only raise awareness, but to also take action in addressing the ongoing epidemic of abuse that affects individuals and families across this nation. So we've learned today about the incredible work being done at Bethany House to provide safety, healing, empowerment to women and children who have endured trauma and domestic violence. But our work does not end with the episode this month. There is a need for continuous support for survivors, particularly those impacted by racial and systemic oppression. For those survivors, the challenges they face are often compounded by other barriers that you heard Tiffany talk about, making it essential that we focus on centering their voices, holding space for their healing, and advocating for justice. So as we reflect on this year's theme of heal, hold, and center, let us commit to embracing the community that is not aware, but actively work to break the cycles of violence, to offer refuge to those in need, and to fight for a future where survivor justice is grounded in racial justice. So at Alfred Street, we have the Beauty for Ashes Ministry, which supports women impacted by the traumatic experiences of domestic violence and sexual assault. Our ministry aims to promote wellness and self-care through education, encouragement, and support. This holistic approach encompasses aspects of mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. And so if you are interested in learning more about their mission, please email beautyforashes@alfredstreet.org. So I encourage each of you to get involved, whether by donating, volunteering, or just simply educating yourself and others about domestic violence. Together, we can create a world where survivors are heard, held, and supported on their